South Carolina has taken 2 of the previous 3 meetings. And here we go in Tampa. The Final Four is underway.
See South Carolina starting out in their man-to-man defense. The matchup to keep an eye on. Bree Hall guarding Madison Booker.
Here's Harmon. Bouncing inside. Shea Holly finds Jones. Harmon looking for her mid-range. The leaner won't go. Jones on the offensive board got fouled. Was the most outstanding player in her region in Birmingham. And Jones sinks the first free throw.
Getting herself to the free throw line as well.
And Jones hits both, namely Sanaya Fagan.
We saw against TCU, Texas's pressure just wreaking all kinds of havoc. What does South Carolina have? Big players, Chloe Kitt, Sanaya Fagan, who can initiate their offense and bring the ball up the floor.
That time, Kitt's pass knocked away. Here's Booker, 3-on-2 developing, and Raven Johnson able to break it up. Of course, about 21 a game. That's 16th in the nation. Here's Booker, high catch, elevates, and drops it in. That feathery touch. And in practice against Texas, she's been fine. And that's going to be a charge. Hoping that the game was not officiated too tightly. Clear charge there, and so 1 apiece on the 2 key bigs for South Carolina. Knocked away by Pow Pow, a timely steal. Tahina Pow Pow will lay it in.
Terrific defense by Tahina Pow Pow on Shea Holly.
Following her conclusion here at South Carolina, national champion a year ago is Mwenentanda.
To the basket, just got a shoulder past her defender.
Good start here for Texas, a 6-2 lead. Fagan off one leg, can't drop it in. Mwenentanda knocks it away, and Harmon comes up with it for Texas. Here's Harmon veering through traffic. They peel back. Lori Harmon, who is not yet announced whether or not she'll come back next season, gets her pocket picked by Raven Johnson. Johnson unable to finish on the other end, and it lands back with Harmon. Harmon has it knocked away. We've seen this kind of pressure defense from Raven Johnson. Saw it against Caitlin Clark in the national championship game last year. Booker again for Madison Booker, the SEC Player of the Year. After she was the Big 12 Player of the Year last season. Joyce Edwards, the talented freshman off the bench for South Carolina, couldn't finish there. Here's Harmon behind the back. Harmon can't hit, and the rebound to Pow Pow. And Pow Pow stepped out of bounds. It's going to be Texas basketball.
And this is a South Carolina team. All of these starters were here a year ago.
Harmon drops it in. A 10-2 start for Texas. They are 4 of 6 from the floor in the early going. Lob inside. Edwards finds Fagan. What a nice find. Off to Shea Holly. Couldn't handle it. Fortuitous hop. Jones misses the hook. Whacked out of bounds. Last hit Texas. It'll be South Carolina ball. Here comes Malaysia Fulwiley. And Miriam Dowda. Here's Dowda. Dowda unable to hit, and Jones the rebound. Miriam Dowda, who's played just 4 minutes a game in this tournament, getting early action here. Harmon kicks it out. Holly over to Booker. Her jumper is good. Madison Booker is feeling it. That foul was on Taylor Jones, her first, 4th turnover for Texas. Here's Tessa Johnson, can't finish it. And another foul against Texas.
When I saw her in the SEC tournament in the semifinal game against Oklahoma, have hugely impactful minutes.
And when you first come to South Carolina, it can be intimidating. You get around all these great players. She's transferred from Arkansas. Shea Holly bounces in. Loose bounce pass. Taken away by Edwards. Here comes Joyce Edwards for South Carolina. Edwards rummaging inside, and the blocking foul is called. All SEC first team as a true freshman. The last 2 members of South Carolina to do that, they're pretty good. Asia Wilson and Aaliyah Boston. By the way, you'll see a lot of the Texas players actually wearing Asia Wilson's new shoe. Here's Harmon elevating and gets denied by Raven Johnson. And they'll say it last hit Texas out of bounds.
A deceptive shot blocker. You see her here. Wow, just beautiful. Stays clean below, stays clean up top.
And that's the right call. It clearly last hit Harmon. And then South Carolina racing up the floor. Critical foul, let's see. Yeah, I mean,
we've seen how important she has been early in this game to Texas. I mean, South Carolina, most of their game plan is determined around trying to slow down Madison Booker.
Booker getting looked at after she took that blocking foul. And the Gamecock faithful behind their bench rising to their feet.
Rory Harmon very important offensively here. Lee as well.
Harmon drops it in.
Getting in a few feet away, elevating scoring. She's going to have to take the load of playmaking while Booker is out of the game.
Here's for Wiley, always electrifying. Malaysia dips in for two. Exclusively provided South Carolina's offense in the fourth quarter. The freshman Lee gets hit. Gordon Lee misses the first free throw. To the South Carolina NCAA Tournament record with 23 off the bench. And the Elite Eight played just 11 minutes.
Dribble penetration or post-entry passes.
I don't know that anything excites you as much as a dirty lane. Wiley is hot early. (10-3) South Carolina run. What a move from Wentantanda. Shea Holly doing a nice job denying Tessa Johnson. Edwards feeds Dowda back to Edwards on the interior. Lays it in. Here's Wentantanda kicking it out. Lee's three. Off. Rebound. Oldacre, who gets fouled, who is one of the best offensive rebounders in the country, goes to the line. 69%. Perhaps more offense than many would have expected in this first quarter. It's not like the scoreboard is completely lit up, but
once again, using a post player to initiate the offense.
Got a 2-second difference, game and shot clock. Here's Edwards. Fearing to the cup, Joyce Edwards. 6 seconds left. Harmon with time. Harmon races, stops, dishes. Preston can't hit at the buzzer. And that will do it for the first.
I would imagine Vic Schaefer will leave her on the bench as long as he can unless South Carolina goes on a big run where he needs to bring her back in.
Meanwhile, South Carolina's bench has changed the game per usual for Wiley and Joyce Edwards doing that. For Wiley on the bench to begin the second quarter. Here's Preston, the freshman, dives in. Couldn't wiggle into a whistle. In South Carolina, Hall dumps it in. Edwards goes to the corner. Pow finds Fagan, who couldn't quite finish the hook.
South Carolina, though, doing a really good job getting Texas's defense into rotation, which got Fagan a good look on a smaller defender.
Oldacre. Surrounded by three, lost it. Johnson has it. Johnson gives it up. Pow. Yes. Last year led the nation in three-point shooting percentage at 47%. Lee looking to respond, cannot. Wentantanda flags it down. Wentantanda kicks it back out. Lee got that one. 47th in Division I in three-point makes per game, averaging just over 3. Edwards center of the lane, and a blocking foul is called. And now for tonight's Need to Know, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Texas, South Carolina this season had one total lead change in their 3 regular season meetings. They've had 2 already tonight. And now 3.
Kyla Oldacre and Taylor Jones out there together. Ryan, in the course of this entire season, those 2 players have been on the floor for a total of 3 minutes together.
And Vic Schaefer said depending on how the game's being called, he'd be comfortable or uncomfortable going to it. Pow knocks it away, and it's out of bounds off of Texas. We've seen Te-Hina Paopao very disruptive.
And one Ntanda in for Oldacre, so there goes the double big lineup.
It was nice while it lasted.
Yes, it was.
It gave us a chance for the graphic. That's right. Really what we wanted.
That's right.
Paopao throws it. Ooh, saved by Wiley. Harmon able to tiptoe. 3-on-1 developing. And just really poor spacing on that transition opportunity from Texas. Harmon fakes, takes, can't hit. Rebound secured by Johnson. Harmon 2 of 7 now. Paopao gives it up. Johnson extra feed. And Fagan lays it in. How long does Vic Schaefer wait for Booker? Oh, not that much longer. Booker going to the scorer's table. Here's Lee. Dipping inside. Able to bank it in. That's a big bucket from the freshman Jordan Lee.
Beautiful footwork.
Wiley dashing through the lane. Able to float it in.
When she has space, watch out.
Off to Harmon. Lee, mid-range jumper. She got it.
A guard with size who can create her own shot.
That's a poor pass from Fagan out of bounds.
You want Madison Booker to stay aggressive on the offensive end of the floor, but if you're South Carolina, next possession going the other way, you go right at her trying to pick up a third.
Brianna Preston dishes to Booker. Back to Preston. Holly, not a good pass. Jones lost it. Jones surrounded by 3. 8 to shoot here. Preston turns the corner and lays it in. Texas back in front. Tightly played first half. Hi, ladies. Backdoor kicks. Lays it in as Booker had to be careful there playing with 2. Jordan Lee fakes the 3. Puts it on the floor and hits the jumper. How about Jordan Lee in this second quarter? Wiley separates. Oh my! Couldn't quite get it to go from 3. Preston now racing up the floor. Lobbing it in. Jones the catch and the finish. Here's Edwards, the spin. Edwards, what a take. Couldn't quite finish it. And Booker ends up with the rebound. Booker flings it ahead. Gets it back. Booker's 3 off. Edwards bounces it ahead. Hall alone at the rim.
First Final Four. She has been terrific.
8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists for the freshman. The SEC Freshman of the Year. Booker elevates, got hit by Hall, who says, yep, I got her. Madison Booker at the line. 6 points in this first half. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
I want to credit her father, Carlos Booker. At 6'10", he was a terrific player at Southern Miss. But every single day after school, she would come home and play against him in the driveway. For so many years, she couldn't get a shot past him, so she had to gain that elevation. That's what you're seeing in her game.
And you're just seeing her pick up her 3rd foul, Holly.
Oh, Madison Booker trying to get back. Eyes on the ball at the last second. Pulls away. She was looking at the basketball. Wasn't sure that the player was there.
So Booker back to the bench with Texas leading by 2 as Hall banks it in and ties it at 33. Preston zips into the lane, unable to finish. Gets toppled on by Fagan. 4-on-4 the other way. Johnson can't finish. Raven flags it down. Paopao, you bet! When Ntanda through the lane. No call again as when Ntanda hits the deck. When we asked Dawn Staley, what do you need from Te-Hina Paopao tonight? She said, shoot the ball, no second guesses. That's what we've seen from Paopao. No hesitation when she's gotten free from deep. 3-point South Carolina lead. Johnson backs away into Fagan. Fagan patiently curls it in. Largest lead of the game for the Gamecocks. Shot clock is turned off. Rory Harmon, a veteran of this program, knows it. Taking her time. Here's Lee. Back to Harmon. Baseline jumper short. Edwards couldn't grab it when Ntanda gets fouled. Texas has been outscored by 13 with Madison Booker off the floor in this game. And she's been off the floor much more than Vic Schaefer would want. And when Ntanda hits both, Edwards hoists it down the floor, knocked away by Holly, and that will do it for the first half. South Carolina an 11-0 edge in fast break points. So Booker does begin the third quarter on the floor with her 3 fouls. First time she's had 3 fouls in the first half.
Texas starting out in a zone defense here. That, of course, is to protect Madison Booker.
Hits. Almost went up and down. Here's Bree Hall. She got it. One of Dawn seniors. Meanwhile, Fagan picks up her second. Here's Booker. Gets space. Can't hit that jumper. And Hall, the strong side rebound. Madison Booker 3 for 5 from the floor. Hit her first 3. Has had just 2 attempts since because of her limited minutes with the foul trouble.
Texas now back to man-to-man.
Here's Kitts, fakes the jumper, now will take and hit. Vic Schaefer emphasized to us, he said, in the SEC championship game, we had 5 bad minutes. Ended up getting outscored 21-6 in the second quarter. You can't have 5 bad minutes against South Carolina. As Booker hits the jumper.
Only played 30 possessions of zone this entire season coming into this game. Then back to man-to-man. Today they were working on it where after a number of passes, they would then switch back to the zone.
Hall jumper is good. Here's Booker around the screen. Booker elevates and hits again. 6-point South Carolina lead. Kitts darts one in. Fagan, no. Rebound, Kitts. Able to spin it in through some contact. The importance of having Fagan on the floor because of the way she communicates.
Especially on the defensive end.
Harmon in the mid-range. She got it. 6-point South Carolina lead. Joyce Edwards, the freshman who was terrific in the first half, in off the bench for South Carolina. Edwards motors to the cup.
Quickness advantage on the Texas post, and she's taking advantage of it.
Harmon, mid-range jumper, won't go. Edwards another rebound. They get ahead to Pow. Pow picking her way. Edwards settles things down. Pow around the screen, 8 to shoot. Pow backing down, 5 to shoot. Pow got fouled by Harmon.
Dawn said 1 year she will be the best player in the country, and she's well on her way tonight.
In a game where they got off to a slow start, Texas jumped out to a 12-4 lead, and Edwards helped change the game. And now Booker has it stolen. How about Pow? How many times have we seen her sneak in and come up with a steal? Booker kicks. Harmon's long 2, way off. And here comes Edwards again, trying to go coast to coast. Joyce Edwards all the way in.
Good detective work.
Lee gets open, leaves it short. Texas 1 of 6 from 3. They have hit just 3 combined threes all season in the 4 matchups against South Carolina. Tessa Johnson flashes free and dumps it in. Preston hits the deck. Harmon lost it. Was able to regather because she lost control on the deflection. Preston couldn't finish on the drive. Here's for Wiley, head of steam. Pulled the string. Tessa Johnson, one more.
South Carolina smartly looking to attack her.
An 11-0 South Carolina run. Lee, wide open 3 is good. The defending national champions with a 14-point lead. Shot clock turned off in this third. Tessa Johnson behind the back, leaning, can't hit. Rebound. Into the lap of Harmon, and that will do it for the third.
You'll notice a little tiny one right around the very top that Dawn is wearing, a really beautiful connection. Dawn said it helps remind her of how blessed she is to be coaching basketball instead of fighting and supporting Blakely in her fight.
Yeah, Holly, beautiful connection between Blakely and Dawn. And Blakely has given Dawn now 3 necklaces. Pow. Missed it left, and it's out of bounds. So can Texas make a push here? Down 14. Booker was able to get through the third without picking up her 4th foul. When Ntanda has 4 herself. When Ntanda forces it up and gets fouled by Kitts, that'll be the 3rd on Chloe Kitts. Vic Schaefer has taken this Texas team to a place they have not been since 2003 in the Final Four, as that's out of bounds off of Oldacre. Texas 3rd in the nation in defensive efficiency. Fagan waits, can't finish. Harmon gets up for that rebound. Here's Harmon kicking to the corner. Lee connects. Big sequence there for Texas. The 3rd 3 for Jordan Lee. She has 16. Pow. You bet. Shea Holly's first field goal attempt is short. Raven Johnson the rebound.
Used her reach nicely there to get that rebound.
.13 South Carolina lead, and Dawn Staley.
Interview with Holly Rowe, questioning whether Texas's legs have been impacted by the pace of play because South Carolina is so deep. Wouldn't surprise me if Dawn Staley took that timeout when she did.
Miss Edwards gets fouled. This was back in the summer, 190 days before the Final Four. They do what they call 6 a.m. track workouts, where they have to be so precise that they all get about 10 different uniforms. Everybody has to wear the exact same one to meet at the track. If anybody's uniform is slightly different, Shea Holly, who's in charge of all this, is the one who has to run back to the dorm, as Booker can't finish the jumper. So they train for these moments, but to your point, South Carolina just has more depth and play at a faster pace.
So now the rest of the way, if Vic Schaefer wants a rest for his team, he has to use one of his timeouts. No more TV timeout.
It was interesting how much the Texas players said they actually liked the 6 a.m. workouts. As Hall gets free and lays it in. When Ntanda dishes out. Here's Holly. Shea Holly dumps it in. Oldacre looking to use her size, able to twist into a bucket. Bucks head coach. Here's Edwards.
How about calling for a clear out?
Wants to take it. Dishes to the corner. Johnson's jumper is good. Everybody from South Carolina contributing tonight. Showing the full repertoire today as Harmon hits the mid-range. .14 points, South Carolina lead, under 5 minutes to go. UConn, UCLA up next on ESPN. Johnson connects. The entire roster is on fire. Shea Holly is definitely done today. An Austin kid who is playing in a record 171st game for Texas women's basketball tonight. We've talked about what a dream it has been to be at the core of this program as it has ascended back to these heights. And the South Carolina fans know they are on the brink. Here's Tessa Johnson, and they'll call a charge as Johnson, Dawn, and South Carolina could smile.
Oh, Carlton was still moving.
Agreed.
But you know what? Overall, this has been an incredibly well officiated game.
Yes. Carleton rumbles in, can't finish. Fagan the rebound. Since the first quarter, South Carolina has outscored Texas 51-33. They're a plus 14 in the second half. Into the corner, and Dawn Staley going to take a timeout just as Sanaya Fagan was loading up from the corner. Ended the postseason when Vic was the head coach of Mississippi State. Took them to 2 Final Fours. Tack gets blocked on the interior by Carleton. And then lays it in. The shot clock went off. And I'm pretty sure Preston inbound the ball to Carleton, and Carleton ran out of bounds with it. Nothing was called. Did they call a violation, or did they give him the bucket?
Just an odd sequence.
Scoreboard says no bucket. Here's Preston on the other end, laying it in. In the corner, down to why not? Pouring on a little sauce. That 3 is good. The 9.7 remaining. South Carolina can dribble this one out. South Carolina will play for a national championship on Sunday afternoon.
Way to work. Thank you.